So first, let's talk about engagement and kind of designing communications designed truly to engage. Our approach to engagement is the funnel that you see here. And we try to apply this engagement design to create a repeatable and really broadly applicable funnel framework that will work across whatever your outreach campaign is, whatever the type of outreach is, the populations, the lines of business. So if we just walk through this quickly, you can see on the left, data is definitely feeding the top part of this. Understanding what problem or behavior am I solving for and who needs that support so I can target my population very specifically. And then within that target population, how do I segment? It's very important to not do that broad-based approach, and we'll show some examples of that in a moment. But having the unique needs and barriers understood within your population so you can segment and message appropriately is critical. From there, understanding the channel, and then understanding what behavioral science tactics should I be using here. We'll run through a couple of those that we use today, but think about what Amazon does every day when they're marketing to everyone online. They're using tactics like scarcity, for example. If you go on and you're going to purchase a water bottle and it might tell you there's only 3 left, you feel the pressure. You need to make the purchase before they run out. It works, and they do it because it works. We don't employ any behavioral science tactics for the most part in healthcare unless we're really putting the data behind it. And so that's the challenge, is how do we put the right data behind being smart and tactical about these kinds of outreaches that we really want to maximize. And then as we get lower down there, being able to test what works is really important. How do I message someone to support and overcome a barrier they might feel to going out and getting a typical screening? And how do I design my content and then test and learn to do it effectively? And so that's what we're going to show some examples of. And Drew's got some great real world examples, even in the world of print, where he's been able to measure very effectively and then test and learn there as well.
Hey, Melissa, can I ask a question on this one? So,
Yeah.
if I were to look at this just from my own seat at a health plan and say, well, I can come up with, I know what my strategy and goals are, I know how I would target, but maybe, the complexity can come when it's what does the clinical quality team think? And what are the stars imperatives this year? What is the overall marketing strategy? Maybe there have been mergers, things of that nature. So I think that, like, maybe speak just to the governance of taking an idea like this, which is really salient, but knowing that kind of the lion's den that we all go into in healthcare organizations is trying to align with these things across different departments.
Yeah, it's a great point, Drew. And you're really talking to execution where the rubber meets the road. Everyone can look at this and think, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, we should really do that. But then when it comes down to execution, especially in larger plans, there's a lot of silos, as you said, and a lot of different incentives and a lot of different goals. And so aligning your communication strategy really is one of the most important starting steps there. And we do a lot of work today with different clients. Some are large national plans, some are smaller regional plans, where we really look to orchestrate communications. We go in and we try and do an inventory first to understand what touch points do you hit consumers with today? All of your members, what are they getting from you across the enterprise? Now, you can imagine in some larger plans that can be really tricky. It requires us to go in and inventory, to tag, to read through and understand the goals, to look for areas where we might be able to rationalize some of those communications, maybe consolidate, maybe sunset. Um, do that real boots on the ground work to understand how many touch points are members actually getting and from which areas of the organization. Recently we did some of this work for a client where they actually found out that their diabetes, members with diabetes were getting up to 30 different communications a month across the organization. There's so much fatigue to be had there. So to your point, Drew, getting an understanding of all that and then instituting some form of communications governance is incredibly important. governance just is really what it sounds like. It can be an individual, it can be a department, it can be an entire advisory board that is concerned with making sure that every touch point that goes to a member matters, is valuable, um, is not so repetitive, doesn't cause fatigue, that it can be designed to be measured, and that you can actually attribute some ROI to whatever the outcomes are of that outreach. So that aspect of completing an inventory and then actually instituting some governance is incredibly important and certainly tangential to what we're talking about here to make sure that everyone across the enterprise can see success.
So I would just echo it because, you know, if we have 5 different departments, maybe complete a funnel like this, you can really easily get into, no, my strategy is the most important. No, I heard mine on the town hall. No, this one's related to stars. I think doing that audit and having that governance around, let's just truly look at where we are today. That can sort of slice through that objectivity and say the fact of the matter is the member is receiving 30 messages a year. We can all agree that that's not the right place to start. So let's look at those messages and see where we really want the nucleus of them to be and which are the other supplements. So totally agree. I mean, it's trying to take objectivity into a subjective conversation to help get that governance unstuck.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such an important foundational step for sure. Um, and then, once you have your arms around it, there's so many other opportunities to maximize every touch point, no matter the channel, which is really what's so illuminating about that process.